Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most legendary, incredibly high-stakes confrontations in classical literature. We're going to look at a single, incredibly tense interaction from our source text that literally sets off a chain reaction of epic proportions. We're dissecting the exact anatomy of a world-altering insult between two men, Drona and Drupada.
So let me ask you, can a poor man and a rich man truly be friends? Honestly, keep that question in the back of your mind as we go, because it's not just a casual philosophical query. It's the absolute core of the debate we're about to unpack. It's the exact wedge that drives our two characters apart and ultimately changes the destiny of an entire kingdom.
Section 1. An unwelcome reunion. You know, every great conflict has a flashpoint, and this one kicks off with what absolutely should have been a happy reunion between two old companions who haven't seen each other in years. But, as you can probably guess, reality doesn't always meet our expectations. The dynamic in the room is just instantly explosive. On one side, we have Drona. Our source text describes him as a mighty Brahmana, but he's indigent, meaning he is incredibly poor. And yet, he walks in with a joyous heart. He's just genuinely happy to see his old friend. Now, contrast that with Drupada. He's no longer just a buddy from the past. He's the lord of the Panchalas. The text actually notes he's intoxicated with wealth. He doesn't greet Drona with a smile. Nope. He's got his contracted brows in wrath and reddened eyes. The gap in wealth, power, and just pure emotional state between these two guys in this exact moment is absolutely massive.
Drona steps right up, completely missing the hostile vibe boiling across from him, and delivers this wonderfully simple, optimistic greeting. Know me for thy friend. It's so warm, right? It's an open invitation to just pick up exactly where they left off. But King Drupada, he is absolutely not having it. He abruptly, harshly rejects the greeting, completely refusing to even acknowledge the bond that Drona is trying to invoke. Which brings us to Section 2, the rules of friendship.
See, Drupada doesn't just say no and ask his guards to show Drona the door. Oh no, he completely deconstructs the mechanics of their relationship. He wants Drona to know exactly why they aren't equals anymore. It's the sheer methodical force of Drupada's elitist attack that's so fascinating here. He totally weaponizes his pride of wealth. First, he goes straight for Drona's mind, claiming his intelligence is scarcely of a high order and calling him of dull apprehension, just for daring to assume they're still buddies. Then he attacks his status, labeling him a luckless and indigent wight. And finally, he lays down the ultimate class barrier, outright declaring that great kings simply cannot associate with such people. He is systematically tearing down Drona's dignity piece by piece.
And all of this builds into this super rigid worldview, something I like to call Drupada's law of equals. Drupada argues that friendship and actually even hostility can only exist between people who are on the same level of wealth or power. He lays out this strict rule book. If you're poor, unlettered, a coward, or not a king, he cannot associate with you. But if you're a rich man, a hero, a war warrior, or a king, then you're an equal. According to Drupada, the poor and the wealthy can't be friends, and they can't even be enemies. They just exist in entirely different realities. But how does he handle their shared past? Well, he drops this brutal line: "The friendship I had with thee was for a particular purpose." Wow, right? It's such a cold admission. He's not denying they were friends, but he's retroactively boiling down their entire past relationship to a mere transaction. They were kids, it served a purpose back then, but now, that purpose has officially expired. All right, Section 3, the corrosive nature of time. Now, Drupada needs a way to intellectually justify being this harsh, right? So he finds his excuse by blaming the passage of time itself. I want you to really ponder his deeply cynical view here. Let the harshness of this quote sink in for a second. But time that impaireth everything in its course impaireth friendship also. Drupada is basically asserting that in this world, no friendship lasts forever in anyone's heart. It's a super bleak outlook for sure, but for a king completely intoxicated by his own success, it's a really convenient way to cut ties with someone who doesn't offer him any immediate political or social value. He lays out these two destructive forces that ruin relationships. You've got time, which just slowly wears friendship off, eroding it day by day like water over a stone. And then you have anger, which just violently and suddenly destroys it. He uses this exact logic to totally discord Drona, framing it almost like it's an inevitable law of nature rather than his own personal cruelty. And then, the final knockout punch. Do not stick, therefore, to that worn-off friendship. Think not of it any longer. This is the ultimate dismissal. The anatomy of the insult is entirely complete. Drupada didn't just turn Drona away, he insulted his intelligence, mocked his poverty, drew up a systemic rule to exclude him, and philosophically completely erased their history together.
Moving into our final act, Section 4, Drona's Vow of Wrath. So, how in the world does Drona react to this unbearable level of insolence? We're pivoting now from the cold, calculated arrogance of a king to the explosive, life-altering reaction of a humiliated master. The source text gives us this incredibly cinematic, rapid-fire sequence. Step 1, he becomes filled with wrath. That joyous heart he walked in with, instantly incinerated. Step 2, he reflects for a moment. This isn't just blind, chaotic rage. It's a sudden, icy clarity. Step 3, he makes up his mind to check the insolence effectually. This right here is the birth of calculated vengeance. He isn't going to throw a tantrum. He's going to teach Drupada a lesson he will never, ever forget. Step 4, he hastily leaves the Panchala capital. The talking is done. The action has begun.
The immediate fallout of this confrontation is a massive strategic relocation. Drona packs up, leaves Panchala, and heads straight toward the capital of the Kurus, a huge rival power center named after the elephant Hastinapura. By dismissing Drona so arrogantly, Drupada didn't just shoo away a poor man. He literally drove a brilliant, highly motivated, and capable individual straight into the open arms of a neighboring power.
Which leaves us with one massive, burning question to think about. Did Drupada's pride of wealth just accidentally create his kingdom's absolute worst enemy? By enforcing his rigid rule that the rich can't associate with the poor, Drupada sparked an epic, legendary rivalry out of one single, structured insult. It really makes you wonder, if Drupada had just swallowed his pride and offered his old friend a seat and a meal, how much of the ensuing history would have been entirely rewritten? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the text, keep visualizing the story, and I'll see you next time.